Go for Papa Palpatine. What up? Okay, it's it's Multiplex loves movies special edition Sunday night. We're here talking about Star Wars. Sorry that we're late. Computers suck. Technology's a bastard. I hate it all. Yeah. Hi. We're going to talk about Rise of Skywalker. This is your official spoiler warning. We're going to talk all things spoilers about this movie. We've got different people here with different views on the film. I believe that me and Maggie have seen it a few times. Cody's seen it a couple times. Robert's seen it one time. So the big Uno. So we've got a bunch of different opinions and thoughts, I think, varying across the board. None of you know what I think about this movie. Do you, though? Do
4 out of 5. Okay. 4 out of 5.
Well, we'll talk about it. Okay, so let's all go around and kind of talk about our... well, first of all, hi, Maggie.
Hi.
Hello, Cody. How are you?
I'm great. Awesome.
Robert?
I'm doing lovely this evening.
Great. Okay, fantastic. Now everyone's been introduced. Let's talk about the movie. Let's go around, give our thoughts. Robert, let's start with you. Your overall thoughts on the movie.
I really enjoy this movie. Force Awakens is my favorite Star Wars movie. That is like my Star Wars. I absolutely love that movie. So this movie, which serves more or less as a direct sequel to Force Awakens, I really like that. So there are definitely things that I like understand the problems that this movie has. I understand the choices that it made were not always the best ones. But it is a lot of Star Wars-y Star Wars, and I'm here for it.
Maggie, let's go to you next. Your overall thoughts on the film.
Same, though, really, when it comes to what Robert said. I did really enjoy it. There are a few things that irritated me, but they are smaller, and I'm very much able to look past them and just watch the movie and enjoy it as a good flick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cody, we'll go to you next. Your overall thoughts on the film.
So Attack of the Clones, Phantom Menace, Rogue One. Oh, no, Last Jedi, Rogue One, Rise of Skywalker. That's where it ranks for me. No, I've never seen that cartoon crud of Clone Wars. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of this movie. This movie treats Star Wars fans like we're idiots, and I have a big problem with that. So, yeah.
All right, I guess we'll talk about that. I don't know. I feel like I'm definitely more on the Maggie Robert side of things. We've seen the movie 3 times. Loved it the first time. Didn't like it as much the second time, but the third time, it actually kind of like the things that I love about the movie, I really, really, really love. And the things I don't like about the movie do really, really, really annoy me. But by this point, having seen it 3 times, and I'm probably going to see it a couple more times, I can kind of look past those things. But we'll talk about, like, I guess, where it ranks for all of us in a little bit. But right now, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Let's talk about the movie. Right at the beginning, guys, okay, we're watching the movie. Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. The dead speak. I was like, okay, this is a thing. We're going so. Oh, interesting. The dead speak. So what did we all think about this crawl? Because honestly, like, the crawl opens and, like, that is some information that they just, like, ask you to take a leap on, where they're like, the whole opening, you're asked to leap and jump with them. And I feel like if you can make that jump with the movie, you're gonna enjoy it a lot more than if you didn't. For me, I just accepted the fact that Papa Palpatine is here and he's doing shit, and he never really left. Is he cloned? Is he the original? We don't really know what the fuck happened, but I don't know. Anybody have thoughts on this whole opening of the movie?
I saw a very funny tweet where it was that the crawl essentially breaks down to Palpatine started a podcast, and I thought that was very funny. But I think you're right on the nose when it's like, if you can make that leap that the first 10 minutes ask you to make, you're probably going to be strapped in and ready for the whole movie. If you can't, then you might have a lot of reservations going, and it might be harder to get you on board. I personally was able to make the leap. I wish there had been a little bit more of explanation about like Snoke's role and everything, but as far as realizing, yeah, exactly. I wish there would have been more of a line than just that, but like where he's like, "Oh, the dark side is a path." Like when they called back to Revenge of the Sith, they're like, "It's a path that many things that many consider to be unnatural." Like, I bought that. Like, oh, Palpatine's alive, cool. Like, I bought it completely.
Can we not say this is a leap? This is a jump across the Grand Canyon to make. Old Papa Sheev is in his own little zone making a bunch of ships for everybody, sending Snoke on his way. Kylo had no idea about him. They bring the Knights of Ren to cut down people left and right. The cool montage. It's a sweet thing. Come on. Like, this just clearly shows that this movie was not connected to The Last Jedi. This was connected to Force Awakens from the start. Because you don't get any, there's not one hint in Force Awakens even, or Last Jedi, that Palpatine is still around and pulling the shots at this point. And then all of a sudden, for him to be in the trailer, I was curious of how they brought it back. But for the dead speak, and like you hear his voice, obviously, ultimately, what a bad, terrible villain. You're just going to send your voice into the void so everybody has to see. Just send your giant fleet, blow up planets. Like, it makes no sense. But this is the start of the movie. This movie literally allows you not to question, not to ask why. Just be like, Palpatine's back. He's got ships that are in ice that pop out of the ground, and Kylo's gonna be the Emperor. Okay, I'm on board. I just couldn't get on board because it doesn't play into the other movies. It doesn't play into a sequel. It plays its own standalone almost.
And I didn't care about any of that. So it's fine for me. Like, I understand why people aren't able to make the leap and it's going to bother them. And I do agree that I don't think that this trilogy was well planned. And the things that happen that really cut against The Last Jedi really do irritate me. But those are pretty much the only things that irritate me. But I am willing to jump. Like, it's fine. Like, it's a movie. Like, it's fine. And I'm not worried about those things.
We're going to have a lot to talk about in the realm of, like, we could argue the plot holes and merits of the movie all day long. I think a more interesting conversation around this actually is like the fact that everybody's saying that this movie, Cody just said it, wasn't connected, that they didn't have a plan, that this movie just feels like cleanup. What do we think about that? Because to me, well, actually, I'm gonna save my point. Maggie, how do you feel like?
So I do acknowledge the things that they did that were cleanup, but we can't pretend that this is the first time that happened. Like people said, they jar-jarred Rose, but they had to jar jar to begin with. Like, they cut him out because they realized that people hated it. And honestly, I don't blame Disney for how this ended up. I blame the internet because it's their fault that they freaked out and now they didn't know what to do. It is partly Disney's fault. They didn't have a plan, obviously, but the fact that they feel so pushed by fans to react kind of makes me sad. And that I really honestly blame them for hating this. Like Tim tweeted last night, he was like, remember 2 years ago when you were all mad and you all hated The Last Jedi, but now when it's the exact opposite, you hate that too, and you're pretending that you love The Last Jedi. Like, make up your fucking mind and just like accept it for what it is. And that just like, it's driving me insane. Like, I woke up on I'm going on a rant. I woke up on Wednesday morning and I saw all the negative reactions on the internet and I got sick to my stomach. I was like, why is this happening? Why do we have to freak out? Everyone loved Endgame and that was a ton of fan service. I get that they're not the same plot holes, but like, you can't have the same complaints for one movie and not for the other. And I just don't understand why Star Wars is this thing where we have to analyze it and we can't just watch a fun sci-fi adventure. And that's my piece on that.
So my viewpoints on the movie is I don't believe they connect. I honestly don't believe 7 and 8 connect very well either. I don't believe I think they're very toned differently. And say what you want about one or the other. It doesn't matter how you feel about it. But this movie is literally J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson were playing with a toy. J.J. played with it first. He passed it to Ryan and said, I don't want this anymore. Ryan cut its hair, cut off a leg, and changed his entire outfit. And then JJ's like, what are you doing to my doll? I want that back. And tried to retcon everything and fix everything that the mistakes were made. I agree that I partially think this is Disney's fault. I just feel like they're to blame if they decided to retcon everything. Like they didn't have a
They were kind of a few things.
No, because Kylo and Rey are still connected. They completely went with that. They went with that diet in the first thing.
Well, no, I'm not saying they were okay. They didn't retcon everything, but they basically they even threw out jabs at the old movie. Like Rey throws the lightsaber. He says the comment about treat the with respect. I understand you guys comment, but and then to top of that all off, they literally forced the they just bring back more and more comments of what Last Jedi did and to make it different. Like it literally plays right into Force Awakens and doesn't play into Last Jedi, and that's why I think they're passing this off as a trilogy, and it's not a trilogy. It's two movies that are trying to connect to each other, and the middle one is just a day in the galaxy of Star Wars. Like, and I understand that you all are saying sci-fi film and you want to enjoy a sci-fi film, and that's your biggest problem. But this movie has laws and rules and things that they set up for a long time.
Yeah,
the entire thing is force balance. One outweighs the other. There's training set up in the first one. Somebody has to train. Somebody has to do these things. The parents thing was thrown into this one just because they weren't okay with a nobody.
Yeah.
So like, there's multiple things that they just change, and then this movie tries to just make you accept that okay, whatever they're doing is doing, but that's not what the movie set you up for 6 movies worth. There's a council, there's training, there's people, and none of it matters at this point.
So
and that's what's frustrating for me.
If we're gonna, we'll get to the parentage stuff, but for me, when it comes to like the fuck yous at The Last Jedi, I really don't think there's as many as a lot of people think there are.
I agree with that completely. I think there's two.
I think the biggest one for me is Rose, because if you didn't want her to be a big part in the movie, then just don't put her in the movie. She didn't need. It wasn't necessary, so just don't put her in the. If you don't want to continue that, don't put her in the movie. So I think that was a big disservice to Kelly Marie Tran, because like she's a great actress, and just because people didn't like what she did in the last movie, like that shouldn't matter. Like I was upset about that.
But it wasn't a JJ character. It wasn't a JJ character. So that character, he didn't have a plan for that character. That was a Ryan character. Ryan brought it in and didn't work for it. I know, but that's the problem with them making 2 different movies. They don't make. They wouldn't have plans for her.
Yeah,
sorry. I just want to make one more point. The lightsaber thing, though, like really is bothering me, because the first time I saw the movie, under the first time seeing it, when it happens, Luke grabs the lightsaber, like Jedi's weapon deserves more respect, or whenever he says, like, he said the line, and I immediately turned to Maggie, and we talked throughout like most of the rest of the scene about how dumb that was. Upon revisiting it, he goes on to say about like, I made a mistake. Like the whole lesson that he gives to Rey there is like, me coming here and you doing what you're doing right now is a mistake. That's not a fuck you at The Last Jedi. That's him acknowledging his arc from The Last Jedi, Cody.
Yeah.
It is.
He even said that. We watched
right,
it.
But that's an FU to Ryan for doing it, to setting him up to do that.
No, it's not. It's showing way more character growth in Luke.
No, you guys are saying that, but the problem is that Luke Skywalker, he didn't have the plan for Luke Skywalker. He was not going to lead Luke down that path. Ryan led him down that path.
Though. That shouldn't.
100%. We don't even know what Luke Skywalker would have done in 8. We don't know if he would have died. We don't know if he gave up. Nothing, because that's not what JJ planned. He planned that out.
But we can't.
He retconned it.
No. I think you're totally like muddling the word retcon, because just because what we got. What? Just because it's not a retcon, because retcon means like JJ goes in and looks at something Ryan did and says, I'm not acknowledging that. I'm not doing that.
The parentage. That is the only retcon of this movie.
And I feel like him just like doing the lightsaber thing is actually them acknowledge him going, okay, well, I wasn't gonna do this. What Ryan did with Luke isn't what I would have done. Now we have to figure out a way what to do with Luke based on what Ryan did. Yeah. And I feel like they did the only thing they could have.
Yeah.
With what they did.
So as somebody who's only seen the movie once, when I saw that line, it's like, oh, Jedi weapon deserves more respect. I didn't even realize that was supposed to be a dig at Last Jedi. I thought it was literally Luke acknowledging his mistake because I was listening to that conversation. I didn't realize that people took it as a middle finger to Last Jedi until I went on Twitter 2 days later, and they were like, "Oh, that's such a fuck you to Last Jedi," blah blah blah. And I'm like, I didn't see it that way at all whatsoever. Yeah. With the Rose stuff, I understand. I don't like what her character goes through in Last Jedi. Like, I don't really like the way that character. Not the way the character is written. I think it's a good performance, and I like Kelly Marie Tran, and like what she endured on social media is horrible. I didn't like that character in Last Jedi, so I didn't mind seeing less of that character in Rise of Skywalker, but I understand why people are viewing that as sort of a JJ purposely not including like that character. Yeah. But also JJ Abrams didn't write the script for this movie.
He co-wrote it.
Did he co-write it with Terrio?
Yeah, with Terrio.
Okay. So I didn't mind seeing less of her. I understand people think, oh, that character got completely screwed. Fair. I didn't really care for that character very much, so I would not have liked that character to be in on the big old adventure in this one. I don't think that she fit that at all.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. I think that she played her part in The Last Jedi, and that it's good that she's there still as part of the rebellion and the resistance and like doing stuff with them, and that we see her. The thing that bothered me the most is that they kissed, and then that just was ignored, so that's fine.
Because you like love.
I love love, and I liked the Poe Finn Rey dynamic, and her being part of that wouldn't have made sense. So I think that while I acknowledge that they took this character that was a big part in one movie and like got rid of it, I acknowledge that, but I didn't bother me.
I think for the story that was being told in this movie, it fit that character wasn't as included.
Yeah.
Before we get into the parentage stuff, because I feel like that's going to be like a big.
Yeah.
Same page.
I don't know about that, but before we get into that, because it's going to be like a big part of it of this conversation, what did we all think about what they did with Carrie Fisher and Leia? Cody, let's start with you.
I mean, there's a lot I can say about Leia in general. I honestly hope this is the last movie that ever CGI is a person that has passed away. I don't think it looks right. I don't think it plays right. I think they should have. No, like when they CGI'd her as the Jedi, like in the Jedi.
Like they're doing like the training. Yeah, that's
like I'm just over the fact. Like I think she should have just been passed away. Like I think she should have passed away off screen. I think there are moments that are cool in it. I think like the Chewie reaction to her and stuff like that, but I think it just doesn't fit into the movie because they didn't have a lot to work with, so they just like threw her in there at random times, and it's like I get it, but it didn't play well for me. A lot of the movie didn't play well, to be honest with you, so I can't really say this one. It's just I thought she was supposed to go in the last one, and they set up a point where her to go in the last one, and I don't believe it made one of the most awkward parts when she flew back in. Yeah. And then for her to be Mary Poppins, and then fine, but then it didn't fit in any of the scenes. Like I thought the training with Rey and stuff that was cute, but like her a notice of her passing away or something off would have been something. Or wait, going back and there's a funeral for her, totally fine. I just don't like because it didn't fit. They didn't have enough footage for it to fit.
Yeah, I like the idea of where she actually like passes in the movie. Like I like the idea of like her reaching out to Ben and everything. Like I like that whole concept, but I do have to agree with Cody. Where like I think they did the best they possibly could, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't not feel weird when you're watching the movie, because you can definitely tell that something's off. But again, that's us knowing that she is dead. Whereas somebody in 50 years might watch this movie and not really know that she died before this movie came out, and they might not even notice. But what do you think about it, Robert?
I'm kind of in a similar boat. I think I like her inclusion like in the early parts of the movie. The first I think the first half hour that includes before they go off to find the dagger. In those scenes, I think she's utilized actually pretty well. Her training Rey in the Force, her talking Rey before seeing her off. I think all that is done really well. Her death itself is kind of a jarring scene because we haven't cut back to the Rebel base in 45 minutes, and then suddenly we cut back and Maz is like, oh, it's going to take the last of her strength and she's going to die here. So I just think the editing, the moment it actually happens, is kind of jarring. I like the way it happens, that she spent her last amount of energy to reach Ben, to reach her son and to make him to honestly pretty much complete his turn to the good, or at least to start the end of that journey. I really like that that's the way that she passed away. I love that R2-D2 was the only one sitting there. I didn't think we needed, we had when she became one with the Force or whatever, everybody was kind of standing around, but the moment she laid down and the arm went down, I'm glad that we didn't have 1,000 people standing around her at that moment. At that specific moment. So I thought it was done well. There's not much else that could have been done with it. I agree with Cody. I actually think it would have probably been better for her to pass away in the previous movie, the character. But I think if she was going to be in this movie, I think they did the best with what they had to work with.
Yeah, for me, I think that the beginning stuff is super awkward. It's clear that they wrote around what they had, which is what it is. But to me, the stuff that happens with her later, specifically with, her death and what Luke says about what she saw, that part to me, that scene and what he says is central to my understanding and acceptance of this movie and what happens. So I needed her to be in it to do that for the way that they played it off and Ben's turn, without her saying, or without Luke saying that she saw the death of her son at the end of her Force journey and that someone would pick up her lightsaber and finish that journey. That is a huge thing to me about what happens and accepting what happens and the way together into the Force, Ben and Leia. That's really central for me. So I liked that part of it.
Yeah.
But the beginning was super awkward.
Okay. Let's get into the elephant in the room here. So okay, all right, just making sure. Okay, so Rey is a Palpatine, apparently. Here's the thing. I do not have a problem with Rey confronting darkness, kind of going evil. I don't have a problem with that part of the story, because say what you will, Twitter, but they did set that up. She's gone a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs a few times in the last two movies. There has been a darkness there from her first fight with Kylo to now. There's been a little bit of a hint of darkness there. I'm fine with that.
Especially in Last Jedi.
Yes. I just feel like the way they went about being you're a Palpatine is just Oof. Cody, I feel like you have probably the most thoughts on this. Let's start with you. So tell me about, when did you realize in the theater this was happening, and how angry were you?
So side story before we get there. Palpatine's my favorite character in the entire Star Wars trilogy.
Do it.
It's probably because I'm a dickhead or I'm just evil myself, but I am a huge fan of Palpatine. I think the whole setup, he's the best, tied with the best part of the prequels, and then to show the evilness of who he actually is throughout the original trilogy. Again, do I hate the Palpatines in this movie? 1,000%. 1,000%. I think it's the dumbest move ever. There's not even a laugh, a hint, a tweet sent out from old Sheev hiding in this cave. So kind of frustrated me. To hear that she's a Palpatine made me like literally eye roll, and I literally went and filled up my popcorn during it because I was so frustrated. I don't care. Like, that is just a tie-in that honestly never needed to happen a billion times. Like, the thing is, I didn't like Last Jedi. I honestly don't like Last Jedi as a movie. But the thing is that I love so much that they were pretty much like, fuck you. Just a fuck you. She's nobody. Just deal with it. She has these powers. That's who she is. Cool. On board. 100%. And then to hear that she's Palpatine. And then the oh my God. The scene where she shows up in front of Palpatine, like her whole hunt to find Palpatine, and then Emperor Palpatine, like, you'll sit on the throne. Oh, cool. Awesome. I'm so excited. She's not turning. Not even close. She's going to kill you if anything. So it's just like, it's just out of place and weird. And then the part that I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it. The ending.
Spoilers. Yeah, go for it.
They spent so much time throwing out her flipping name is Palpatine. You're Palpatine. You're literally a Palpatine. She sits there and goes, what's your name? It's literally Han Solo. It's the Solo part. Last name. Han. I'll call you Solo. It's that moment that made me like, are you? So it's Rey. What's your last name? Oh, Auntie and they show up. The Skywalkers, the siblings. Skywalker. Just call yourself Rey. Just say you're Rey. You're literally the strongest Jedi that has ever been. That no one can ever touch you. You're Jesus Christ in the flesh. Never took damage. She had all this healing power. Finn freaking almost died. She's a flippin' healer. Couldn't heal him. Like, I like Rey as a character, but my God, for not even accepting you can change the name of Palpatine? Like, that's something. And no, you take on the Skywalker name, and that's fine. But that's fan service that shoves, like, you're full at Thanksgiving dinner, and your grandma comes over with the pudding and just shoves it in your mouth and makes you vomit. Like, it's overkill. She should never. You're telling me, I'm stealing Robert's line, but you're telling me old Daddy Shiv got down with somebody? She porked somebody? When he was the Senate? Come on.
I am the Senate. And then he...
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, 50 Shades of Grey, 50 Shades of Wrinkles showing up to theaters next. Like,
exactly. Who got dicked down by crusty old Sheev?
Who did it? Who completed the Force Lightning finish? Like, I'm done with this. And then have the child.
What? What were you gonna say? Say it.
No,
Say it.
I can't disagree with Cody more.
Okay.
No, that's fine. I get it. You three put it as 4 stars, and that's fine if your opinion. But like,
what'd you give
it? 4? I gave it a 3. I gave it a 3 because there are moments that are fine. It's probably going to drop to a 2, but they just forced Palpatine in here for no good reason. There is not one good reason why Palpatine should be in this movie, and that why Rey is connected to him. If she was inside Rey, she should have been slaughtering people. There should have been a way harder turn. Good Lord, wife. There should be a way harder turn in that movie. Like, she should have showed some real dangerous moments.
She did.
Besides light. Mother. No, to she Palpatine, to the Emperor, to the man
Force lightning destroyed a ship.
Because she was holding it for too long. She didn't choose to. She didn't even know it could come out.
She didn't do it on
She
purpose,
did
but
it out
that's
of
certainly a dark power. It's certainly a
So
dark power that she did out of passion to try to
Oh,
save
where did that
Chewie.
training come from? Did
So
Daddy
you're
Steve
saying
show it?
you're saying you would have rather seen her do something like what Anakin does in Attack of the Clones when he like goes to kill the like Tusken Raiders and like that shows dark side. You would have rather seen something like that than her be like, I accidentally killed Chewie. Oh, joke's on you. Chewie's alive.
Like she is like Kylo is connected to Vader. And Vader is one of the most diabolical people in the entire galaxy. That was trained by the man of the Emperor. And for her to just sit in the thing and question joining the dark side, or her anger of cutting a rock in half, that's not showing me that she's the most diabolical. She should have mowed somebody down. She should have killed somebody almost in anger or did something. She did that because Kylo was standing there and she didn't know she could shoot lightning at that point. No one could tell me that she wasn't cooking ramen noodles in the cave with lightning. She didn't know she had that power. She even looked at her hand afterward like, what the hell? Yeah, and as soon as she shot the lightning, I said, oh my God, she's a Palpatine. This is literally where they're going to go. And I'm like, and then they said it. I was like, please, JJ, do not do this to me. Nope, she's Palpatine. I'm so awesome that they made a badass woman be the main Jedi. But don't ruin her by connecting her to Palpatine. Make her an Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan went on his own. The Jedi was abandoned. He hooked up with somebody. I'm cool with it.
I like the way you say, yeah, make her an Obi-Wan, whatever.
Make her an Obi.
She could be a Yoda, she could be whatever.
I'm cool. Make her something. Don't make her a freaking Palpatine.
So I honestly, so when I first saw Last Jedi, I really hated that they were trying to say that she was nobody. I was like, but let me finish. When I first saw it, I saw your face, Tim. When I first saw it, that's what I thought. I was like, wow, that's really stupid. Like, I wish that they would like be more interconnected. And then as I rewatched that movie, leading up to this movie, like I saw it 7 more times after that, like after 2017 it came out, and I'm like, wow, that's actually like making a really strong statement that she doesn't have to have heritage to be powerful. Like that she can be this powerful person just being Rey. Like just being her. She doesn't have to have that kind of elite parentage to make herself one of the most powerful we've ever seen. And I thought that was really cool as I rewatched it again. Hated that at the beginning when I first saw Last Jedi in 2017. It grew on me a lot. Mm-hmm. And then even the way, like, now changing her to Palpatine, I don't hate that choice like Cody does, but I do dislike kind of the way that they tried to discount Last Jedi, like the speech between Kylo and Rey after they kill all the guards. I didn't like the way that like that retcon happened, because Kylo was like, oh, I never lied to you. They were trying to be nobody. But like, he straight up said to her, they're dead in a pauper's grave. They sold you for drinking money, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, but like, I didn't like the way that they tried to sell it as he was still telling the truth, kinda. Right, yeah. I wish they would have gone full on Kylo. Like, in my perfect world, they would have written it where Kylo already knew she was a Palpatine and was lying to her straight up and like trying to sell it to her, trying to make her feel like she's nobody. If they were going to go the Palpatine route from the beginning, I just wish that it would have been sold differently in this movie. Like when him and Rey, or when Kylo and Rey have their conversation where he tells her, "Hey, you're not nobody." I wish he would have said, "I was trying to get you to be more powerful. I was lying to you straight up." Blah 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 blah. Like, I wish that's the way they'd go instead of like him like being like, "Oh no, I was right all along." Like that. I thought the way that they executed it and the way they executed the reveal was dumb and wrong, but the concept of her being a Palpatine, I have absolutely no problem with. Besides that, we don't know who dicked down Sheev.
So I don't like that she's a Palpatine at all. I really loved the fact that she came from no one. That is definitely my preferred choice. Like, you're all saying like that's unprecedented, but Anakin came from nothing too. Like, you can't pretend that doesn't have precedent.
Anakin was conceived by the midichlorians. How dare
Well, we're
you
gonna
say he
pretend
came from
that doesn't
nothing?
exist. We don't like that. But you know what I'm saying? That
He had a father.
he didn't.
He's nobody's. Yeah.
Right. He's not like special before everything happens to him. And
Little Orphan Annie.
right. And so I really liked that she was nobody, and that the whole point of Last Jedi is that anyone can have this power, and that it's what you choose to do with it, and that sort of thing. So the fact
It's
that
very Sirius Black. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but it's very like there's light and dark inside all of us.
right. And so, or I was thinking more Spider-Man, but yeah.
That works too. Anybody can wear the mask.
Well, Finn's a Jedi too, so.
No, everyone is force sensitive because the force is everywhere. But anyway, so I really hated that they made her somebody a lot. It was really bothering me because that was like the big thing in The Last Jedi. So I hated that. I do agree with Cody that the Emperor didn't need to be in this movie. They could have definitely gone a different route. I don't mind that he's in the movie and that he is like the puppet master or whatever. That is fine, I guess. And it is, other than the Skywalker name, it is the through line through all 9 movies. And so I don't mind it that much. The only other thing I have to say in response to Cody is the Skywalker thing at the end, is that I didn't mind it because she wasn't going to just say that she was Rey. The whole thing is that she's always just wanted a family, and that she was so pained earlier in the desert when that little girl was like, what's your family name? And she couldn't give one. Mm-hmm. So I am not surprised at all that she chose the name Skywalker over giving the name Palpatine.
She should have said Solo. Sorry.
Because that's who she really identifies with, is those people. Like, obviously, Leia meant a lot to her, Luke meant a lot to her, and Ben meant a lot to her. So, like, it's not
clearly based on those fucking hacking.
Yeah. Oh.
So that
maybe a bottle of scotch and a handgun.
I would have liked it if Kylo Ren would have been there in the Force thing that she saw. I think that would have added a lot to it. Mm-hmm. But I am totally okay with her taking up that name because it really also has to do with the title of the movie. Like, and I didn't realize, shut up, and I didn't realize it until this last viewing when all the Jedi are just telling her to rise. Like, I didn't even think about that and then put those two things together. But I like it, Cody. I like it. And you're going to
Did you see the saber?
But I liked it.
Yeah, the saber at the end, it's the balance of the Force finally. She's learned to balance both. It's the orange. It's a mixture. She put both sabers together, got her own color. She's also a craftsman. She's a flippin' lightsaber maker too.
Did that bother you?
Every Jedi makes their own lightsaber. That's a thing that happens.
Leia made her own lightsaber.
Can we be real for a second? And I want to say something. All of these movies are dumb as shit.
They are.
So let's be real. In 1983. All of a sudden, like actually,
Luke's got a green saber. Yeah.
In a long time, you were considered a nerd for liking these things.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about in 1980, we saw this movie called Empire Strikes Back, and in it there was an emperor. He wasn't mentioned the last time. What's he all about? And then the 6th one, Return of the Jedi comes. Who's this emperor? We know nothing about him, and he dies, and we don't learn anything about him whatsoever, and know nothing about him. But we accepted it. We accepted it because we like Star Wars. I'm just saying that in all of these movies, there's really dumb shit. And yes, this movie has a lot more than most Star Wars movies of dumb shit. I just happened to enjoy a lot of the dumb shit, but I can acknowledge the fact that you do have to just kind of like this is the first Star Wars movie in a long time that I've had to turn my brain off and be like, okay, this is stupid.
Tim,
Cody,
I love you, and I think you two in this room are probably the most educated in the room on film.
Thank you.
But you're telling me there is a lot of dumb stuff. You're right. If we didn't get backstory, you're right. We don't have to. But we had to live in the world that we got backstory on where everybody came from. So we have that now.
Yes.
And you're telling me that I have to I turned my brain off for Fast and the Furious. I shouldn't turn it off for Star Wars for the simple fact that you're saying that you're talking about the Leap. I'm going back to Leap. That there was literally the most powerful Sith was hiding in a cave, building ships.
Yep.
To send an attack to wait Kylo to come to him. And make Kylo because he talked to him. He sent his voice out. That is a huge, that is a total thing. They had the arc going, and that's where they screwed up. That's my problem. These movies are connected. There's a lot of dumb stuff, but we're not touching on the thing that the movies don't connect. And that's the problem I have. Regardless of what you say. There is the same character. Finn was a great stay in the first one, and now turned into a side piece in this one. Basically a side piece. He's not even got it. What was he supposed to tell Rey?
That he was force sensitive.
And just never got
or that, hey Rey.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you. Yeah. I agree.
Build up. Why waste my time? And then I treated this movie as a trashy TV show, reunion special at the end of it. You remember this person, you remember this. They even did a shot of the Ewoks for the sake that, hey, just make sure we're in the same movie where the Ewoks are at. We haven't showed them, but they're here and they are excited about it.
That happened in
overkill.
Return of the Jedi too.
I agree, and I think it's just overkill. Stop beating us over the head. You remember this guy? You remember him? You remember this person? Treat us like we're not total idiots. Don't treat us like there's rules and then there are no rules. That's my problem with the movie. I think Poe Dameron, I think Rey, I think Finn, I think Kylo, I think those are awesome parts. But they took these great cast and didn't have a plan and then forced it together to make money to support Disney Plus. That's basically what I feel like it happened. And with The Mandalorian, that's a fantastic show right now going on. And that is in the same universe. So if this says Disney's going to play everything with Star Wars, that if a person gets mad and tweets something out and doesn't like your movie, and you're going to slowly just change things along or bring somebody back or cancel things out, I don't want to live in that world where those movies are a part of it. That doesn't make sense. Because I think the fan base is stupid, honestly, because they're they like 2 movies. They like 3 movies out of the entire series. They don't even like it. I hated the prequels. I liked the first original. I hated Force Awakens because it was.
Prequels. This movie has given them a new appreciation for the prequels.
Mike Kalinowski.
It's not just him. Everyone.
That is a dumb statement to make. You are not a Star Wars fan. You are a 3 movies and of a series fan. That's all you are. Because that doesn't make you a fan of them. That just makes you.
Actually, I really happen to like Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
And that movie doesn't connect either. So I will say that to the end of my times. Vader slices through 1750 people but couldn't kill Ben Kenobi with a single glance. Get out of my face. Let's be real. He helps the person up and slices him in half. And this one, he literally can't swing a lightsaber. I just think that if you're going to make Star Wars movies, and I'm excited that the Skywalker's done because I'm excited to see where they go next. I wanted to do an old where we don't know anybody, so you can't connect it. It has to be its own world. But this one just is a disappointment because I rewatched The Force Awakens. I rewatched all of them. I don't understand the fandom for them as much, but Force Awakens is an amazing movie. I love that movie with everything in me. And I kind of wish that JJ would have just directed the second one. So then I would have seen the through line.
One artistic vision the whole time. Yeah. I think
that should just stop. If you're going to direct one, you direct them all. You shouldn't just pass the buck. It's weird.
I actually kind of agree with that. I still don't like Last Jedi very much. I like it more now than I did in 2017, early 2018. But I still I agree that one artistic vision would have been better throughout. If Last Jedi had never happened and a different movie that functioned as a sequel, if JJ had done a sequel and then this comes out, I think this movie gets much different reception.
Well, it wouldn't be the same movie.
That's yeah. No, I'm saying a similar movie to this one, where you change some of the dialogue, you change some of the choices, but you don't change the plot of the movie. You don't change the big moments of the movie. I think this gets a different reception, and that is just because of one through artistic vision. I think the biggest problem, obviously, is that there was no plan, and that's been said for the last week, so there's like not really a need to repeat it. But I definitely think there's more good in this movie than people give it credit for. I think Zori Bliss is a great character. I think Jana is a great character. I think Babu Frick is bless up for him.
Dio.
Uh-huh.
Dio. When he's just
Dio
like,
is great. Yeah. Thank you. No touchy. Yeah. I would love, you know what, Cody, you were talking about like you want to see not connected storylines. I disagree. I want to see a baby Yoda story where Baby Yoda's like, he's like 15 instead of 50. He's going on an adventure.
Yikes. I think that, yeah, this movie, it's definitely my least favorite of this trilogy. I think that Robert's right. If JJ had done the second movie, this probably would have gone differently. What I wish would have happened, why is Hollywood obsessed with trilogies? Why couldn't this have been 4 movies? Like I wish they could have gone. I wish they would have done episode 9 and episode 10. So if JJ and Kathleen Kennedy really thought like, oh, we didn't really like where this is going after Last Jedi, do episodes 9 and 10. And if you're going to bring Palpatine back, stretch it across 2 movies and really flesh it out instead of trying to shove all this crap down our throats in one movie. I wish that would have happened, personally. But overall, this is the movie we got. There's a lot of random shit in this movie that we could continue to talk about. Is there anything else that annoyed the crap out of you, Cody, that you want to speak about?
It's something that's always drove me a little batty. And I get that I was told, and I'm a uncultured swine, and I'm so far off from knowing anything. But the 4 Skype calls, they're great. I think they're cool. I just find it BS that nobody was ever able to figure out the 4 Skype call before these 2. And I get it that they're saying that Koho put me in my place, that these are the 2 strongest Jedis or Sith that have ever been. And that's why he was able to when he sucked the Force, he was able to shoot down Star Destroyers with his lightning, because he sucked both of them out there. And I understand that when Kylo kissed Rey, he passed the other 25%. That was 50% that was left in his body, and he gave it to Rey, and he died. The kiss was terrible. But like the 4 Skype call, you're telling me the Emperor, he did. We had to work with holograms. These 40 years later, they're talking to each other in the same room and dealing lightsabers. Stop it.
No. So technically, the Emperor. So rewatch Last Jedi. The Emperor did. He's the reason that their minds are linked that way. Snoke was the one who bridged that
Thank you so much for that. Why didn't he do it why didn't he talk to Vader that way in Empire?
Because they're not figured out yet. Force, Cody. They're a diet in the Force.
I think I understand your problems with that moment. It is explained. You're not accepting that explanation, which that is your right to do.
Right.
But there is an explanation for it.
Yes, they tied the brains, but you're telling me that no one else is able to do that.
I'm saying that nobody else did do that. Yeah,
because Sheev was in the cave building Star Destroyers, and he was able to do the link call. You can be upset
about the explanation all you want. There is an explanation there for it.
There's very clear and acceptable.
So now, when somebody says something on a film, we just have to be like, "Yep, thanks for explaining that. We're good to go." No.
You don't have to accept it. That's fine that you don't. But saying that there's not an explanation is wrong.
Robert, I'm about to Iron Man you off the call. The thing is, what I'm telling you is, yes, you explain it. But again, if this was the first ever Jedi and Sith, maybe we'll have a conversation. There are years of Sith and stuff, and nobody was able to link minds before and do Skype calling.
Not true.
No one was ever able to shoot lightning and tear down ships before. These are just this is Crimes of Grindelwald that you just don't even have to say anything. You can just cast spells. You just do because it's the Force. I don't think they knew what the Force means.
I'm so sorry.
There's a lot.
Can I talk about something that I loved about this movie?
No.
Yes.
Nope.
Yes.
I love after the first Force, after like Rey straight up murders Kylo Ren and then brings him back to life. On the water planet or on the moon of Endor. I love after Rey leaves and you just hear "Hey kid." Oh my god,
it was good.
Fucking
That's
love
a great
that
scene.
scene.
I love that.
That
is he Force sensitive?
Genuinely.
It was just. I think it was just.
It's a memory. Yeah.
It wasn't like a Force ghost. It was like a.
It was him having a conversation in his head, and he just happened to. Cody, that happens to us all the time.
I'm just curious. I didn't know what he was. I'm sorry.
You never have a conversation with somebody else, like an argument where you're like, "Oh man, if I would have said this, they would have said this." Yeah, that just
not
happens.
Not where I chuck my only defense weapon into the water like a rangy little bitch. Go ahead. Just because it's red doesn't mean you can defend yourself. That's really dumb to me. I'm just saying. I get it.
I'm gonna stop talking about things that I like because Cody makes me not like them anymore.
Thank you for finally seeing it.
He's like crying
because I really like that scene, but I honestly don't want to talk about it.
Oh, stop!
That's just like, I don't know. I hate the internet. It's the internet. It's not Cody's fault. It's the internet's fault. But anyway,
emotion.
Porgs though. That's all.
There were significant Porg action.
BB-8.
They were in one shot. Significant Porg action.
That's the only shot I needed of the entire film. If the entire film, the crawl came, the dead speak, blah blah, blah, first shot, Porgs cooing, movie over, and roll credits. I'm there for it.
Directed by JJ.
Change your name in the Throwdown to the Master of Porgs. All right.
No thanks.
Wait, I missed that. What?
I hope they change his nickname to the Master of Porgs in the Schmodown. Be beautiful.
You don't like the spider?
I don't like anything.
I don't like the Master of Porgs.
Obviously, I don't like anything.
Robert, the Master of Porgs.
No thanks.
I do like the lightsaber fight before before Han shows up. I do like that. I do like the lightsaber fight.
You like the so I know you don't like the Skype Force calls or whatever.
No.
But the part, and you're not going to take this leap with me, but the part where Rey like gives him her lightsaber is dope as
so cool.
Fuck! Oh my god! Every time that we've seen it, and the way that they just nod at each other, it's so great. I love it.
Cool.
Matter has been like that's like something it was probably cool. I don't know. I was arguing with somebody about this the other night where they were like, actually it might have been you, Cody, where they were like, how could you pass things to each other through? And I'm like, well, it happened in Last Jedi. Like water came when she was in her Force vision. Like when they were having a Force Skype call, like she touched the water and then he got all wet. Yeah.
They literally reached through and touched.
I was arguing with somebody about it. It might have been Cody. It might have been Koho. I don't remember. But when he was on Kijimi and he found out that she was in his quarters because the mask, great moment.
Oh, yeah.
Like that fight scene was incredible. Like it was the circling shot and it passed one of them, then it switched to the other room. Yeah. That battle was great.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that I think is funny is not all of, but most of Cody's complaints have been valid. The one complaint that I do not understand at all is there are people going, "Oh, so I guess Force ghosts can just use the Force now." I'm like, bro, they're literally made of the Force. They are Force ghosts. Yes, they can use the Force, you idiots.
Didn't Yoda use the Force to light the tree on fire in Last Jedi?
Oh, but that's just sequel trilogy mumbo jumbo.
No, that stuff's fine. But the part that there's one other thing. It's like pulling the Force out of somebody. That was just for the convenience of it. I get that. And that was rough for me because that's never been done. No one ever pulled the Force out of anybody. She would have been just doing that to Luke the entire time in the Empire. So that was just rough. And then he was able to, when he literally shot lightning and tore down ships up in the city, I was just like, we doing this really? But I've already been doing that the entire movie. But I don't think the kiss was earned.
I agree. It was weird. So weird.
I'm glad that I just believe this movie really just had like zero stakes at it at its core. Like we did lose Kylo, and I get that, but like I believe Rey kind of giving it. I said this to Robert, and Robert I think agreed with me, but I don't know if he agrees with me still. But I think Rey giving her life and Kylo,
I agree. I think
would have been a way like more of like.
I think like, Ben Solo should have survived, and if one of those two were gonna die, I think it should have been Rey between those two.
And I think Skywalker.
Sure. Or he fully re-accept Ben Solo when she like wakes up and goes, Ben, and then they smooch. Like that was weird. She should have just like embraced him, hugged him, and then laid him down. People in my theater laughed when they kissed.
If they both would have,
a weird moment. Yeah,
would have been more okay with the kiss.
I agree with that because then they would have had beautiful babies. But I'm okay with the kiss, and maybe it is because I love, but there has been this tension between them.
Hashtag Raylo.
Yeah. No. Okay. So there has been this tension between them all 3 movies.
Oh yeah, when he's got his lightsaber against hers and goes, "You need a teacher."
No, just let me fucking talk. Okay. So the thing is that I think it's less romantic and more that they are 2 in 1. Like that's their deal. So it doesn't surprise me that at that intense moment that he wants her to be alive so badly because she is his other half, literally, that they kiss. That makes complete sense. They have so much energy together that it's less about the love and whatever sexual thing you associate with kissing, and it's much more about the fact that they are 2 people in one force.
It's kind of like when we beat Ragnarok in Chicago and we kissed afterwards.
Yes,
because we were one force, and we were
in a similar way to at the end of last.
Robert.
Yeah, at the end of Last Jedi, I was.
Brings me back to life if I fucking die. Like
at the end of Last Jedi, Tim. At the end of Last Jedi, you were the Finn to my Rose in that situation.
Oh my god! Can you shut up? When Rey,
it's not the same thing because Rose had the hots for Finn, and I don't believe that they set up that Rey had the hots for Kylo.
So.
Yeah, was sexual tension. That was mentioned. My thing is when Rey was actually dead, I was like, this actually. Okay, they did that, and then they didn't do that, and that was the problem. Like.
Yeah,
again, I will say it again. She's the most overpowered person that's ever wielded a lightsaber, and that's fine. But man, she didn't take a scratch in these movies. Did not die. That's impressive. And you don't set it up. And I think that's why the internet's super mad because Luke had to train, Anakin had to train. Why doesn't Rey have to train?
Luke didn't train. Luke got the exact same amount of on-screen training as Rey did. 100%. Yes. Luke,
in the first one, she is literally telling people
Luke didn't get any.
She basically says these are not the droids you're looking for. At least Luke's in the car. Luke is at least driving in the car when Obi-Wan does that move. She doesn't. She just knows it.
Rey got more training Rey got more training in Last Jedi Rey got more training in Last Jedi with Luke than Luke got with Yoda in Empire. Absolutely.
Yes. There's time
that one moment where when she does the stuff to Daniel Craig and then she in Force Awakens, I understand that. She's very powerful with the Force. She didn't know how she did it. She was surprised by her own power.
Plus people, I think, knew how the Force, like what the Jedi are fabled to do, so she tried it, and it worked.
But saying that she never got trained to be able to do the things she did, she got a lot of training in the last 2.5, like off screen as well as on screen. She got a lot more training than Luke did, even.
Well, we have to believe on the last training. So off screen, Luke probably got more training.
There were 4 years between Last Jedi and this movie. There were months.
You also have to
Wikipedia.
Oh, I thought it was only like a year or so, but
no, it was 4 years. I might be thinking of Last Jedi after Force Awakens. I'm gonna look it up.
Well, Last Jedi after Force Awakens is literally moments.
Or no, that's 4 months. Sorry, that one says 4 months.
You also have to realize that. Yes, I get it. But then then the problem is that they set up all this other stuff after those first original movies. Those first original movies, they were still trying to figure everything out, and I get that whole viewpoint. But then they set up all this myth and lore to go with it, and then didn't cash in on that in the final ones. So
Drunk 3PO in the chat wants to know if we liked the movie.
Dude,
we've been talking for the last hour about this. Yoicks. Yeah, there's I Googled how much time is between. I'm finding nothing. But.
Thank you, C3PO. That's another thing. Stakes. You're gonna lose your memory. R2 can't back you up. R2 backs him up.
I'm actually with Cody.
I agree with that one as well. Actually.
Like, why? Why setting up to just
the only person who said, like, Poe literally says R2 or somebody, R2 backs up your memory, and the only person that says it's not true is 3PO, because 3PO is a bitch and he doesn't trust R2. Like,
right? No,
it's fine. I think you're taking it way too seriously. And
no, but that could have been a mistake.
Hey, Robert and Tim mostly liked the movie. Cody hated the movie, so that's where we're at with that.
But you could have just not said that. Like, that's bad writing. The script is bad. This script is bad in this movie. That's a problem.
Are you talking about the dialogue or like the script, like
the dialogue
the direction?
Is bad.
The
dialogue is bad in this movie. Like, it's not the best at all. And like, I get it if it's a nitpicky thing, but like, he's already had his brain wiped once. Like, it's a believable thing. Just keep going with it. But like, for R2 just to put it back is just, he took the risk to do it for them. Like, keep the one risk that you have to take. My opinion. Again, I get it. I did not love this like you guys.
Yeah, I know. I understand. There are definitely moments like that I really don't like. I don't like the Chewie death fake out. Like, I've been a strong proponent of anti-death fake outs, and I think that one's especially dumb because it lasts
long enough.
It lasts for 3 minutes.
Yeah,
like we the characters, like Rey and Finn and Poe, the ones who would actually be like most emotionally affected, like, we don't even really care about their emotional reaction to the scene because we already found out that he's still alive as an audience. If we had gone through that and then they, like, I thought that was just weird editing. Like, they show the scene of him arriving alive after Rey and Finn and Poe talk about his death, then it's at least, I still won't like it, but it's better.
Well, they do a little bit. So, like, right after we think he's dead, it cuts to, like, Rey being like, it's my fault, blah, blah, blah. And Finn's like, it's not your fault, Kylo, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And then it cuts back, and then they go back and do it even more.
Yeah. I thought that was just a weird cut, a weird, like, situation of scenes. Because I think it would have had more emotional weight if we had a little bit more time to deal with it. Still wouldn't have liked it.
Or that we lost Chewie.
Yeah.
It would have been something for her. She would have actually took someone's life.
Yeah. I love the Finn and Poe dynamic in this movie. I actually think that's unreal. I wish, honestly, they should have gone further with it. Like, I am on kind of the camp where, like, the thing he should have told Rey is, like, hey, I've had passionate love with Poe for the last 2 years. Like, I'm not the first person to say that.
I know. I just didn't know that was a thing the internet was still, like, wishing for.
Oh, yeah. People were pissed that, like, JJ hyped up that there would be, like, a whole lot of, like, LGBTQ representation in this movie, and then, like, the two Resistance people kissed for, like, 2 frames.
More than there's been.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair.
Excuse me, there were those lesbian moms in Finding Dory.
But I'm saying having an actual kiss.
Okay. Tensions are high.
They are.
People have wept. People have screamed. This movie has caused drama. You're now kicking in my table. In the end, here's my take. I liked this movie. I didn't love this movie. For me, it ranks right next to, like, Revenge of the Sith as far as how good I think the movie is. I just think that I like these characters more. So even in a flawed movie, I like Rey and Kylo Ren more than Anakin and Mace Windu and Padme. You guys don't have to do this. I'm gonna read my rankings of the movies. For me, it goes Attack of the Clones is the worst. Then we get the Clone Wars movie, Phantom Menace, Rogue One, Solo, Revenge of the Sith, then this movie, and then my top 5 would be Last Jedi, the OG, Return of the Jedi, Force Awakens, Empire. Does anybody else have a list they want to share?
I don't want to share lists because I'm never comfortable with my list, and I have lots of feelings. All I
I'll
know
share
is that
mine.
I love the Force Awakens.
So
No.
my ranking is Attack of the Clones at the bottom. It should never have been made. Phantom Menace at 10, Last Jedi at 9, Rise of Skywalker at 8, Solo at 7, Rogue One at 6. Rewatched episode 3. That movie slaps. It's number 5. Return of the Jedi. Star Wars the original at number 3. Force Awakens at 2, and Empire at 1.
Robert, you got a list?
Yeah. So my starting from the bottom, Attack of the Clones is definitely last, and then the Clone Wars movie, and then Phantom Menace, and then Solo, Rogue One, Last Jedi at number 7, Rise of Skywalker here at number 6. So that's like it's in for me. It's in between Last Jedi and Revenge of the Sith, which is my 5, and then 4 New Hope. The original trilogy in the order they came out in 4, 3, 2. So New Hope, Empire, Jedi, Force Awakens.
All right. And Maggie doesn't want to share.
Nope.
Is this on the higher tier or the lower tier?
It's right in the middle.
All right.
Yeah.
There you go, guys. That was it. This was interesting. This was the thing that happened. Can't wait till we get to do this again and never. Who knows when. Actually, next week is the finale of Mandalorian.
Baby Yoda calling it.
Let's no spoilers there, but shit went down in episode 7 of that.
My favorite episode of the series.
Yeah, me too. Next week's the finale, and I'm gonna make sure that me and Cody and Maggie get together to review said episode. And the 3 of us reviewed the first episode together. We said we would get back together to review the whole thing when it was over.
Sorry, Maggie, you have to do another call with me. Yay!
Well, I feel like we're all going to be pretty unanimous on that one. So
it's a Christmas gift from me.
To be on a call?
Yeah, it's with me. She loves it.
Absolutely. All right. Guys, that was fun. Anything that we have to plug, Cody?
No, your list sucks is off for a week. So woo woo. But we're coming back with best of 2010s, I believe. And I'm letting everybody pick one from a year. So I'm not letting multiple 2016s or 2015s or anything. You have to pick one from each year and then rank the list accordingly. So represent that year with a movie. So if you want to be on, send me your list. I don't have anybody for that show yet.
Maggie, anything?
No, you can follow me on Letterboxd. I think it's at May 24 Maggie. I don't know what it is. Anyway, I think it's May 24.
She's watching James Bond. It's a great time to catch up on
James Bond movies.
May 24 Maggie.
If you want to listen to me rant about that, I would be happy to do that for you guys. But you can see my list there. I don't have faith in it at this moment, but that's fine. But, yeah. So that is that.
Okay. Robert, anything to plug?
Yeah, you can find me personally on Twitter and Letterboxd at RBRTPRKR98. That's my first and last name of all plus a year. And other than that, you can find me all over the Multiplex space, doing all kinds of stuff around Multiplex spaces. My Kaleb Koho impression. It's just like this, lots of hand movements and sharp words.
Cody,
and interrupting.
No,
I interrupt people so much. I love you, Kaleb Koho, but you do make everything a debate, and it's hard to have a conversation with you because you interrupt. Love you, bro. And that's all I have to plug.
Game of Factions is coming up. Be ready.
Yes.
Be there. Be square. Things are happening. Fellowship for life. Maggie has officially taken on a partnership with Cody, despite how
I'm in training.
How it went tonight. Maggie will be managing a match in Game of Factions coming out at the end of the month, so be on the lookout for that. Very excited. Go Fellowship. Thanks, guys. Multiplex Loves Movies will be back after the holidays at its normal Tuesday spot, but until then, have a Merry fucking Christmas and peace out. dogs. Goodbye.